Morning, everyone, and welcome once again to the Windward Buddhist Temple's virtual Dharma service. This morning's service will also include a remembrance part of it. And so I will call each name of the deceased and then ring the bell once, and then continue on until the last name is read. Then we will go immediately to the Sutra chanting, which would be Juseige at this time for today. And this is found on page 55, the Red Service book. So we'll begin the service with the chanting of the Vandana and Ti-Sarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Abhidavus, Namandao, Namandao, Namandao. Matsuzaemon Kukino. Akiko Sumikawa. Aiko Nishita. Shinshu Sumikawa. Takeuchi Hiramoto. Seiichi Sakaida. Dorothy Ono. Namandao, 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 Namandao. Adon Chose 一心無常の心願不満足政府上昇が我を無力行無意内摂取無罪証明政府上昇が我史上分の妙正長実法空教未証文政府上昇が利欲人少年上映修門業四愚無浄土一生天人死人力現代公不祥無才道少女作名交際集約難回避地縁縁名詞根門案永足小悪道津南禅宗門高僧上満足異様実法日願集中期天候不言一周解放像公正愚読法上内集中説法四式無用一切分具足修徳本断念心上満徳意三がよ女文無下地津南未不詳蘭学エリ同志最小尊志願約効果大戦を感動奥上天人等身妙見The recitation for today is our pledge. Let's put our hands together in kansho. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words. just like the Buddha, who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha, who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha, whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha, who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Downs. Good morning once again, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple virtual Dharma service. I hope that you're keeping yourselves safe and well during this long-lasting pandemic. Do you realize that it has almost been one full year that we have not had live in-temple services? Well, from what I read in the Wall Street Journal, this will soon come to a reasonable end sometime in May, hopefully. As you know, the numbers have been dropping dramatically for a few weeks now, and the governor has declared that the state is now in Tier 3. That means that we can have gatherings at restaurants of up to 10 people that are not related, funerals with 25 people attending, and a 50% capacity at religious services, but with social distancing of 6 feet apart. I do know that few of our temples are already open at this time, but I hope it is with the suggested safe practices in place. I don't know when our temple will open, but I imagine that it will be in the next not too distant future. So please keep posted. We just want to be as safe as possible for all of our attendees. Well, last week we had a wonderful guest speaker, Dr. George Tanabe, who is a retired professor of religion at the University of Hawaii at Manoa and a director of the Bukkyo Nendo Kyokai, or better known as BDK. He gave us a lot of food for thought and said that we should begin looking into more modern versions of gathas that are sung and not to hold on to the really old style of gathas that have a lesser meaning for the younger generation and for those that are new to Buddhism. New styles of musical accompaniments should also be looked into. I agree with him. And I think here at Windward we have been staying away from the very old songs, but more should be done. As the Buddhist world is still in the midst of Nirvana Day observances, let me share a few words with you concerning this event. Please join me in kansho as I read the last instructions given by Shakyamuni Buddha before he passed away. Make of yourself a light. Rely upon yourself. Do not depend on anyone else. Make my teachings your light. Rely on them. Do not depend on any other teachings. The true Buddha is not a human body. In its enlightenment, a human body must die, but the wisdom of enlightenment will exist forever in the truth of the Dharma and in the practice of the Dharma. He who sees merely my body does not truly see me. After my death, the Dharma shall be your teacher. Follow the Dharma and you will be true to me. During the last 45 years of my life, I have withheld nothing from my teaching. There is no secret teaching, no hidden meaning. Everything has been taught openly and clearly. My dear disciples, this is the end. In a moment, I shall be passing into nirvana, and this is my instruction. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, so the Buddha passed away many, many years ago, over 2,500 years ago. But last year, we said that was 2,500 years ago. 10 years ago, we said that was 2,500 years ago. And even 50 years ago, we said it was 2,500 years ago. Well, do you recall how old he was when he passed away? He was 80 years old. That was incredible. 2,500 years ago in India, and in the world, actually, that the Buddha was able to live until 80. How he was able to do that? With no insurance, no medical health plan, no 65 plus HMSA, no Longs or no Walgreens. That's incredible. Here I'm trying to live to, I don't know what age. So to remain as healthy as reasonably possible, I go and see my doctor. And you do the same also. But you know what they all tell you? They all say the same thing. Yes, lose weight, eat nutritious food, and exercise, right? He didn't say to go to church. But I think maybe going to church might help also. So I'm trying to lose weight by not eating too much rice, but that's hard to do, you know. So I try to limit the amount of rice that I eat. But I'm not too successful at the moment, as you can see. It's like a roller coaster ride. I lose weight, and before you know it, I gain it all back. For the past month and a half, I've been taking fairly long walks. Sometimes I go to Kahala Mall and walk there. And according to my app on my phone, it's a little over a half a mile, sometimes 3/4 of a mile. Other times I go to Magic Island for a change of pace. So what is the first thing they do when you go and visit the doctor? They put you on a scale. So I get on the scale, and the assistants make some adjustments to see what I weigh. And I don't know why, but their scale is always off. Sometimes as much as 5 to 10 pounds. It's always off. I can take it if it were only a half a pound or even a pound, but not 5 or 10 pounds or more than I weigh at home. That's why I hate getting on this scale. It's always wrong. So I'll tell them, your scale is not right. They tell me that it's calibrated on a regular basis. I'll tell them, well, I do the same thing too at home. I always check to see if the line is at 0, and if not, I adjust the screws. Mine is very accurate, you know, it's made in Japan. So I get 2 different information from 2 different scales. Anyway, like I said earlier, this month is Nirvana Day month. Shakyamuni said, is what I read to you earlier. That was his last message, and I will try to summarize it. You see, his last message was Namo Amida Butsu. But you know that he actually didn't use that phrase, right? He didn't use the phrase Namo Amida Butsu. But Namo Amida Butsu itself is not of Japanese origin. Although it originated in India, the people of India didn't say it that way either. So in his last message of Namo Amida Butsu, Namo means to rely upon and to take refuge in. The Buddha said to rely on the Dharma. He said to rely on wisdom. Amida means wisdom. So the Buddha said in his last message to rely upon infinite wisdom. Do not rely upon other teachings. Rely upon the true and real wisdom. That was his last message. When I had to go and get my driver's license renewed, they asked things like the color of your eyes, height, weight, and the color of your hair. Well, when my hair was short, I could put down black. But now, what should I do? Should I put down black, part black, gray, white? I don't know what to put down anymore. We know a lot about other people, but too little about ourselves, myself. We don't see ourselves as others sees us, and our faults. Our faults are missed or ignored but we can easily see the faults of others, right? Isn't that true? I know that we always say, when people say something that we don't want to hear, we say, I know. We've said it many times. You may think you know a person well, but you really don't. Even if you live with someone for many, many years, you may still not know the other person. I lived with myself for over 83 years, and I still don't know myself. So although I don't know myself, I surely don't know about others. So I can talk about other people, but it's hard to talk about myself. But the Buddha often said, to know yourself. This is the most difficult thing. I say I know myself, but how am I seen by the Buddha? The Buddha, meaning someone who is truly awakened, is seeing me as a foolish being. But I'm not foolish, right? My friends are foolish, not me. I'm not foolish. So it's very difficult to see myself as being foolish. The scale that I have at home and the scale at the doctor's office are two different scales. They both weigh the same body with two different results. One is 5 pounds heavier, and that is the one that is accurate. But who is to judge? Who is to say which one is right? You know, we run into the problem very often. I am right and you are wrong. But who is to say who is right? In the eyes of true wisdom, we begin to see that I may not be always right, though I hate to admit it. This is life we live, and always criticizing each other based on our own scale, based on a scale that we have within us. The yardstick that we carry around is, okay, this is my ruler and it is right, and you are not right. You don't fit into this yardstick that I have, the one that I'm carrying around. Other people come to you using their yardstick. They often say, no, you're wrong. You need to correct it. All of us, in a way, are relying on an unreliable scale or yardstick. We're not relying on the absolute measuring device because we're lacking that device, actually. Many times when driving in my car and somebody does something that I don't like, I say to myself, that guy doesn't know how to drive. But my saying that, am I not saying that, hey, you're not driving according to my scale? Now the Buddha is saying, rely only on wisdom, meaning do not rely on our limited conventional wisdom that we think is true and real. Bring the Dharma into our life and see things from the eyes of the Buddha, or at least hearing what the Buddha is saying about our life. That will humble us. Instead of going around and accusing each other and hurting each other and attacking each other, let us bring in the light. Shinran Shonin says that Amida is light and life. Light means wisdom. Let's bring in the wisdom and find out that the world that we live in is fundamentally the world of oneness. Just because someone doesn't bring an omiyage doesn't mean that he or she is bad. Just because a person has a different color, eyes, or skin doesn't make him any less or better than you. All beings in the eyes of the Buddha are shining. All beings should be respected. And all beings should be able to live their lives in peace to the fullest. The Buddha is bowing to you. And since February is also the month of Valentine's Day, let me say that the Buddha wants to be your Valentine. The Buddha is saying, let me be your Valentine. I want to be with you and guide you and share our lives together. So today is the beginning of your life with wisdom in the Namo Amidabutsu, in the Nembutsu. Now let me, at this time, show you a few pictures of the path that Siddhartha took from his birth to his demise. This first picture that you see is the grounds of the WBT Temple in Lumbini, where the Buddha was born. This is a picture of the palace grounds in Kapilavastu, where the young Siddhartha lived and grew up to be an adult. This next one, through very austere practices and getting nowhere close to achieving his goal, and as he became emaciated, a young maiden by the name of Sujita offered him a bowl of kheer, or milk rice pudding, whereupon he gained the strength to continue on his path. But after gaining his lost strength, he crossed the Naranjana River. As you can see, the Naranjana River, the time that he crossed, was water level was very, very low because it had already passed the summer rainy months. So at this time then, the river was low. You can actually walk across it, as you can see in the picture. Here he sat and meditated for 49 days at Bodhi Gaya. Here he sat under the pipal tree, or pipal tree, until he finally achieved enlightenment and became the Buddha. The Buddha's first sermon was delivered here as Sarnath, turning the wheel of the Dharma. And this is the site and stupa of the Buddha's last sermon at Vaishali. This is in Kushinagara, the site where the Buddha attained parinirvana after his passing. Here the Buddha is depicted lying in state on his right side facing the west. His body was left here for 7 days after his passing. And finally, this is where his body was cremated, and his ashes were later shared with countless followers. Well, thank you very much for patiently listening. And now let's please all put our hands together in reverence once again. Inspired by immeasurable gratitude to the Buddha's compassion, Nembutsu recitation irresistibly continues from fresh morn till quiet night. Although I recite it and hear it, it is nothing but the calling of the great compassion to me. Namo Amidabutsu, Namandabutsu. We will conclude today's service with the Gatha, to live, followed by the Nembutsu.
This life of mine, just as
Therefore, be a lamp unto yourself. Be a refuge to yourself. Take yourself to no external refuge. Hold fast to the truth as a lamp. Hold fast to the truth as a refuge. Look not for a refuge in anyone beside yourself. Words of the Buddha on his deathbed. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you very much for attending this service this morning. Please join us once again next week as a Dharma message will be delivered by one of our Dharma school students, Wyatt Fujikawa. Please take care and hope to see you again. Bye.